Hey, what's up guys? New patch is out, so let's make this breakdown really quick. There's a few hero changes, and the first one is to Berserker. His ultimate now makes him take less damage, so it has been reduced from 20% extra damage to 50% extra damage while it's active. So basically, you activate your ultimate and you take less bonus damage from whatever might be dealing that damage to you. So definitely, of course, this is a buff to Berserker to potentially see more use for him, and I don't know, I kind of think that Berserker is a really good hero and he demolishes with farm, and it's pretty easy to get farm on him and it's pretty easy to get kills on him, but I suppose he dies way too fast, especially if he gets like a Elder Parasite and an Incendiarius and turns on his ultimate, and his health just starts dropping so fast, and he's not seen in the competitive play either, so hopefully this will make him a bit more viable. I thought he was fine, but I really don't mind this buff, just Berserker taking less damage and really dying in less than 5 seconds against a competent team. So we'll see how that goes. I kind of agree with it because I really want to see Berserker more. And although I myself think that Berserker is good, and I think that like he potentially didn't need a buff, I myself don't really play him. I myself am not really too scared of a Berserker on the enemy team, and I don't see anyone else play him much, so there must be something wrong with this hero. Obviously, he cannot. If he was actually strong, he would be played more. Period. So good changes to Berserker there. I agree with them. Next change, just we have to Blood Hunter. So basically, his cast times are no longer like the worst in the game. We're probably tied with someone like Succubus. I'm sure. I'm not counting Soul Stealer's ultimate cast, but like he had one of the worst cast times in the game. So now the cast times on his first skill and his ultimate are lower. So if I cast it, it's pretty fast after I click it. Before he would just go to cast this skill. Silence. So this was especially frustrating when people were going into fog. So if the person was not low on health and you didn't see him with your second skill, third skill passive, he would just go into fog and it would just cancel it. It was so frustrating, and this has been changed, so Blood Hunter is not as bad anymore. Yes. So, oh yeah, the range in his first skill has been increased by 50. How could I forget? Silly me. 50 range increase in a skill. Yeah, but the range of his first skill has been increased by 50, which isn't a huge deal, but it's a decent deal. It basically allows you to silence people from further away, and perhaps even buffing your allies, I would say. But yeah, just more cast, less cast time and more cast range equals to better use for the first skill. Really, it's now much more effective, much more usable, much less annoying to cast when someone is going to the fog, and just basically Blood Hunter becomes much more of a solid hero instead of being this super slow caster for some reason. Yeah, basically buffs to Blood Hunter, and did he deserve? Yes, yes. We don't see Blood Hunter often, and I don't think many people believe that he's a really strong hero, so these buffs will definitely help him. Next we have Pestilence. He basically, this is scary, guys. His first skill no longer makes him take bonus damage. So basically now you get a movement speed boost for 20 seconds instead of 25, which is a 5-second nerf. Okay, but he doesn't take the 10% extra damage. That is freaking, that's big. That's big. Like, you might not understand, but that's big. Basically you have this hero that has one of the best stuns in the game, low cooldown, low mana cost, really long duration stun, AoE, not blocked by Nullstone, plus has a movement speed slow, and deals a lot of damage. One of the best skills plus a passive stun, plus one of the best ultimates, minus a ton of armor, plus reveals, plus cancels Nullstones. Basically you have this really super solid hero that is a strength hero, so he doesn't really die normally off. Like, he doesn't die because he's kawaii tanky, and he gets tanky items usually. So a really solid hero that can also carry because of his ultimate combined with something like a Portal Key plus Shield Breaker. He just becomes really hard to deal with, especially if he gets farmed. So basically a hero with a super good stun that he can carry really well. And the only kind of counter to him before was that, like, my only excuse against this hero was, well, okay, he's really strong, I agree, but when he uses his flight, he's flying, he takes bonus damage, and that's when you can try burst him down and take him out. That was kind of the counter to this hero. It doesn't exist anymore. That's it. His Q is now so much, there's like no reason not to use it, unless you're scared of like the cooldown being off, but basically it's crazy good now. It's really freaking good. This is huge. This is a huge buff to Pestilence. Did he deserve it though? This is another touchy subject. Although we don't see him in competitive, we see him in top play a lot. And he usually is really good. He demolishes people. He's hard to deal with. Could this change perhaps push him over the top? This is the one change I probably don't agree with. Like, taking bonus damage on the flight was the kind of mini counter to Pestilence strengths. Pestilence's strengths, whatever. You get the idea, okay? It's like, it was the only thing holding him back from being super duper overpowered. And now that has been patched, so I can agree to perhaps buff this hero, but I don't think this is the right way to do it. So kind of disagree with this buff. Pestilence is a really good hero now, like really good, like he's almost always good to have. Probably his passive is also really good. It goes through Shrunken Head and stuff like that. So yeah, scary guys, scary. I'm not sure. I can't really agree with this buff because I think it's a bit too much, but I guess we'll see. Maybe that 10% bonus damage isn't too big of a deal, but it's 10% extra damage. That's 10% less health he will be having in a team fight. That's pretty big. So I'm not sure what to think about it, but yeah, that's the truth. So next we have Gladiator. His Pitfall not only has a lower cast time, so you cast it faster, but also it appears faster, like the spikes burst from the ground faster. So now his first kill is basically easier to land. Yes. Yes, this is a good change. I freaking hate Gladiator. Like, I hate him because I think he's a bad hero. Like, his skills need to be like they're hard to land, but Gladiator is also a bad carry. And not the best ganker because those skills are hard to land. Like, I'm not sure what Gladiator is supposed to be, but I really didn't like the hero. Definitely agree with these buffs. This guy needs all the help he can get. Yes, his start skill is annoying, and his ultimate can be decent if you actually land it, but apart from that, what else can he do? Unless he gets like 500 GPM, then he's maybe scary with like a Doombringer Rift Shard level 4 lucky proc, but apart from that, yeah, I really don't like this hero, and I think he needs all the buffs he can possibly get, so I definitely agree with it. The other change was that his passive now works with illusion, so they dealt 140 damage. The real one also dealt 140 damage. I'm not sure if this deals 33% damage or full damage. Probably needs some testing. My guess would be that it deals 33% damage, but either way, it supposedly potentially makes Geometry's Bane a decent pickup, although not so much in a strength hero, which is what I don't like. Geometry's Bane is mainly an agility item, and on a strength hero, I suppose it can be added to potentially make it kind of a carry build with the Geometry's Bane, but who gets Geometry's Bane on Gladiator? I suppose now people can try get it, but I don't know. I don't think it deals full damage. It would not make very much sense if it did, so yeah, okay buff. I don't really mind it, but if you manage to get Geometry's Bane on Gladiator, you probably deserve the full damage anyway. So changes to Gladiator, I like them because I didn't think Gladiator was good. And last we have changes to Madman. His stock now has a lower cooldown on lower levels, so instead of having 13 seconds cooldown on level 1, it now has 10 seconds. On level 4 it's still 7 seconds, so basically less cooldown on lower levels for his invisibility skill, which can also be used to less hit and harass in the lane or a suicide lane even. It's really helpful. So less of a cooldown on the skill. What do I think about this? Well, I think that Madman is not a good carry. Like, he's kind of Swiftblade carry. He's pretty good early game, not as good as Swiftblade even, but late game, other heroes kind of carry better. I'd even go as far as to say Pestilence carries better. Somehow Madman just something is wrong with this hero. I don't know, he just doesn't carry as hard. Perhaps because he doesn't deal much AoE damage and he basically needs a Rune Cleaver to deal AoE damage. I'm not sure, but I'm okay with this change. It makes him a bit stronger early game, but at the same time it doesn't really help him late game. But either way, I do think that Madman is kind of underpowered and could use some help. So I agree with this change. Yes, good changes, good changes.
What is it?
And last, we have Icon of the Goddess. So basically, it now caps at 50 charges, which is kind of a shame. It shouldn't be capped. And also, when you die, you can only lose 8 charges at most. So basically, this kind of increases the average amount of charges you will be having from 14, 15 to like potentially 16, maybe 17. So basically, it's a buff. The exact number for it not being a buff would be if you can lose up to a maximum of 10 charges per death. Then on average it would not make a difference mathematically. But since it's 8 charges only, which is not much, which is 4 kills kind of, sort of, basically now it's much easier to gain charges on Icon of the Goddess, and is a really, really decent buff, I think. Is the item now worth picking up? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I need to do more math on this kind of, but let's say just off the top of my head, you gain 2 charges per hero death, right? Yes. Okay, so basically, okay. So on average, mathematically, if you do average, you'll keep gaining charges. Like there is no limit and no average where it will stop anymore with losing up to a maximum of HR. So basically now, doesn't matter how many times you die, as long as you keep the average, like you keep killing heroes and then dying, so like just having normal team fights, you will be gaining charges on this item eventually. Like you will be rising and rising up to a maximum of 50 charges. So that's why the limit was introduced, I suppose. But on average, this item now actually gives a benefit, and it doesn't suck shit anymore, guys. This is pretty big, actually. Huh. So basically the item is not super horrible anymore, and it's actually possible to get to the high number of charges, especially if you don't die much. Huh, so this potentially makes Icon of the Goddess a decent pickup. Decent pickup. Wow, I sucked there. So yeah, would be really interesting to try it out. Yeah, mathematically, if you do average every game, you will be gaining charges up to the maximum of 50 eventually if the game goes long enough. So yeah, that's really, really interesting. Huh. Still, the bonuses it gives are not too high. I mean, as big as it is, I mean, 50 charges, 25 health per second. It's okay, but for 50 charges, which you've been collecting for the entire game, that's not too much. That being said, it gives a ton of mana regen, and it does give a lot of health. So yeah, interesting. Could potentially pick it up myself now, just because mathematically it's a viable item. So last change we have to post haste, and this is a big change, and I really, really like it. So basically now you can turn your Striders, which is this item, into post haste. So just to compensate, Striders recipe costs 300, so the post haste recipe now costs 300 less. So from 2200 now costs 1900. So what do I think about this change? Well, I think it's really, really good. So not many people got post haste, and even if they got, I always thought it was kind of a weird, it was a question whether it was worth it, and oftentimes it wasn't. Yes, you could teleport between lanes to farm faster technically, but you spend 2200 gold on that, and you're probably not making that gold back. The movement speed was really good, so the only real kind of benefit I saw from getting posted is that you would not need to waste a slot on a homecoming stone anymore. So this is a really, really good change from this kind of perspective. So now when people have now a viable option to go Striders and roam around the map more, because then it can later be turned into a post. Basically, people are now encouraged, like, get this idea, encouraged to go Striders over other boots. Like, building Striders isn't just an item that you get, oh man, I'm losing this game harder, I'm support, I don't need gold. I'll just get Striders and I'm done with this game. I don't need items. So now it turns from that kind of item to, I can get Striders and I can still turn it into really, really good boots late game. So basically more people will get Striders, right? Even like potentially carries, potentially. So SomaZ, what does that mean? It means, get this idea. if Striders are picked up more often, more people will have Striders, and more people will have a lot of movement speed and roaming potential, because Striders are kind of for roaming. They allow you to get from lane to lane faster, but they don't necessarily help you in combat. So basically, more action on the map, because people will be moving around the map more like just faster, okay? So, more faster. God, I suck sometimes. So, more action-packed, and also later then they can then turn it into post haste and just teleport all over the map. Just get that concept. So just promoting more action style play. So a really good change, really positive for the game. Will make it more action packed, more fun, and just makes Striders really interesting build. I mean, you can go for kind of boots that give you kind of the most movement speed early game if you don't attack or anything. And later they're turned into really good boots which you can use to just go nuts, go insane. Yeah, so basically, just to recap, Berserker, his ultimate now, he takes a bit less bonus damage. Bloodhunter, his cast times are now lower. Also, his first skill has a slightly higher cast range. Pestilence, his first skill no longer makes him take bonus damage. Gladiator, his first skill now casts faster and appears faster. Madman, his first skill now has a lower cooldown on lower levels. Also, Gladiator's third skill, Passive Whip, or Flagellation as it's called, now works in illusions. So I agree with all of the changes, not so much in Pestilence. That is the only change that is kind of controversial. I'll have to see how it works out, but I think Pestilence is now really good, potentially even overpowered. As for the new items, I love these changes. So basically, I kind of think others now can be decent, depending on how big is the benefit compared to the cost. Need to do more math there. And post haste just promotes so much more action. So really solid, good patch. This video was not short at all like I intended it to be, but I hope you guys enjoyed it anyway. Hope you understand the changes and hope you will abuse them to your advantage, because that's what this video is for. And I'll see you guys next time.